Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going on a bit of a treasure hunt. We're going to uncover massive tax deductions that you are legally entitled to, but honestly, you're probably completely missing. Look, if you've ever felt that sinking feeling in your stomach when tax season rolls around, you are definitely not alone. But what if that feeling wasn't just dread? What if it was actual cash slipping right through your fingers? Well, let's figure out how to plug that leak.
So, I want you to imagine this scenario for a second. What if the reason you overpay the government year after year isn't because of bad math, or some calculation mistake, or just owing more because you earned more? What if it's simply because you are missing out on money that's literally already yours?
Because that's the truth. The real culprit that's draining your wallet isn't a filing error. It's failing to claim the qualified deductions you already have a right to. Millions of people legally overpay their taxes every single year, just because they ignore or forget the very deductions designed to protect their income.
We are talking about hundreds, or in a lot of cases, thousands of dollars left sitting on the table by everyday taxpayers. And you know the absolute worst part about this massive loss of wealth? Most people have absolutely no idea they're losing it. They just accept their tax bill as a fact of life and move on.
Look, tax season is incredibly stressful. We all know that. And the focus is usually just on, filing correctly and hitting the deadline. But very few stressed out taxpayers stop to ask this one crucial, proactive question. Am I missing deductions that could lower my tax bill? And the answer, surprisingly often, is a big fat yes. All right, let's dive into our first hidden gold mine. Section 1, the work expense cave, focusing on your career investments.
Now, what's really interesting here is how many of us spend a significant chunk of change completely out of pocket on our careers throughout the year. We're talking professional certifications, industry memberships, required tools for the job, and specific training courses. Yet so many people never track these expenses. So, as a result, these incredibly valuable deductions are just forgotten when tax time rolls around.
Moving right along to Section 2, the remote work goldmine, looking at home office opportunities.
Since remote work blew up, a huge portion of the workforce now uses a dedicated part of their home for work. But so many people just assume things like their monthly internet bill, that new ergonomic office chair they bought, or their workspace equipment just don't matter for taxes. They completely ignore local tax rules that might qualify them for serious savings, paying out of pocket without ever even checking if they qualify.
Okay, Section 3 is the donation mistake or giving away your savings.
When we talk about charitable giving, a simple lack of documentation creates a massive leak in your potential tax benefits. Throughout the year, you might be donating money, dropping off old clothes, giving away household items, or providing goods to charities. And look, the charities are totally legitimate. The donations are real. But the problem is entirely the lack of records kept by the person actually making the donation.
So the absolutely crucial point is this. Without documentation, your potential tax benefits just vanish into thin air. While individual small donations might seem completely insignificant at the time, a bag of clothes here, 20 bucks there, they absolutely add up to a major tax benefit at the end of the year if you just keep the receipt.
Let's look at Section 4, the freelancer's treasure, focusing on self-employment deductions.
For freelancers and business owners, this is where the absolute largest deduction opportunities are hiding. Think about your everyday operating costs. Software subscriptions, business equipment, website expenses, advertising costs, professional services. The challenge here isn't whether they're eligible, because they almost certainly are. The real challenge is having a reliable system to properly track every single one of them through the absolute chaos of running a business.
All right, Section 5, the skill investment, education and development.
Countless professionals invest heavily in themselves, completely unaware of the tax benefits. We're talking about ongoing courses, specialized training, and new certifications. And depending on your local tax laws, these costs could be legally deductible. Now, just as a quick reminder on how a deduction actually works, it lowers your overall taxable income, meaning you are taxed on a smaller portion of your earnings. So it isn't just a direct one-to-one cash refund, but the government might effectively return a portion of that educational investment right back to you. You just have to know to ask. Which brings us to Section 6, the real villain. Why you miss deductions.
So why do so many smart people miss out on all this money? Well, because most missed deductions aren't hidden. They're simply forgotten. The tax authority isn't actively hiding these savings from you in some secret underground vault. You're just forgetting about them.
The ultimate cause here, the true villain of this whole explainer, is poor record keeping. It's the act of losing your receipts, failing to track your expenses regularly, and, fueled by a total lack of awareness,
waiting until the absolute last minute during tax season to review your finances.
Just look at the stark difference here. On one side, we've got the unprepared taxpayer, literally bleeding money by waiting for tax season, losing receipts, and just lacking awareness. And on the other side is the prepared taxpayer, keeping their hard-earned cash by reviewing expenses regularly, tracking everything, and staying organized throughout the whole year. I mean, which one do you want to be?
And finally, Section 7, the solution, reclaiming your tax savings.
Now that we know exactly where the gold is buried, here is how you dig it up. It all comes down to understanding your deductions, maintaining accurate records, and staying organized year-round. Committing just a few minutes of preparation to these 3 simple steps can potentially save you thousands of dollars over time. Remember, it's not about owing more. It's about claiming what you are already legally entitled to.
So, which deduction surprised you the most today? Let us know in the comments below. And hey, if you know anyone who might be overpaying their taxes just because they're a little disorganized, share this explainer with them. Ultimately, you've got to ask yourself, what other areas of your financial life are you overpaying simply because you haven't taken the time to look? Stay curious, stay organized, and we'll catch you next time.